Dave Delgado here with men's national basketball team coach EJ Calvo. Now, the men's team was scheduled to play in the Philippines. The Philippines reached out to the Guam Basketball Confederation stating that they are unable to host the games because of travel restrictions. Where does that put the team now?
Well, everyone initially was supposed to host their own group, and our group, of course, includes Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong. And because none of us were able to host any games, both in November and February of 2021, the Philippines was trying to put together a bubble to host everybody, their group and our group, and that fell through. So now the Philippines group, actually, which is Group A, found a host nation of Qatar to host all their games, and then Guam and Hong Kong will be competing, and we will get our two games played against Hong Kong, and that'll be hosted by the country of Bahrain. And we are currently just working out all the details, travel plans, protocol in terms of testing and ensuring that we travel safely to Bahrain and are able to enter the bubble that they're forming there, and get ready to compete against Hong Kong and get those qualification games done in the next couple weeks.
Are any of the players on the team going to have trouble when it comes to visas, or are we looking at everybody making a smooth transition to making that trip?
Everyone that's been eligible and available for this window has seems to be committed to continue to play. It's not every player on our expanded roster, but we have over 12 players committed to make this trip, and visas are being processed. They're not too complicated. It's a very multinational city, and very safe is what so far what we've seen in terms of them setting up this competition. There'll be other games played in the same bubble, but in terms of our Group C games, it'll just be Hong Kong making the trip to play their two games against us.
And for such a big change in travel plans, is the team looking out for any additional help? Because I know funding's probably going to play a big role in getting our team over there.
Yeah, we were expecting to have to travel. Like I said, we were planning on playing games in New Zealand and Australia if all countries in our group hosted their home games. So we're basically just reallocating, and I think we're okay in terms of making it there financially. It's been more so just overcoming obstacles with training, of course, and then with the timing of everything being kind of last minute now, getting flights booked. A lot of airlines have limited flight schedules. And so it looks like we're going to be able to make it work with limited stopovers and get into that bubble safely and easily. And once we do that, we're hoping to get some court time prior to those games that we're going to be playing. And that's important for us to just, get on the same page and get some rhythm with our players before we compete in two very important games for our qualification. We think these are the two most important games in our group. So we're really approaching it as must-win situation.
Any update on the rosters?
We'll work on announcing our roster soon. Obviously, there's some strategy to this, and teams are starting to let FIBA know who they can expect to be registered. Game day rosters are due at the technical meeting, I think 24 hours prior to your game, but we're going to be putting out at least our expanded roster, including a few alternates that we're considering. And then as we finalize our flights, we'll make other announcements. So expect changes. A lot of guys that we've seen playing for Guam in the past year to 4 years won't be making the trip, and we'll be adding some new players that may have played for our junior national team, but this is going to be their opportunity to represent Guam on the senior level now.
Scouting our opponent, what are we expecting when we step onto the court as far as maybe offensive and defensive strategies?
Yeah, Hong Kong's very aggressive, and they definitely have talent. They have players that have played professionally in China and in the Hong Kong Pro League. They have shooters. We're definitely going to have to extend out and defend tight on the guards, not giving them any space, which is pretty much the case in most Asian with most Asian teams. They're always good shooters. They do have a couple big men, but I think we'll be okay in terms of matchups. We just have to make sure that we're, like I said, rotating properly and that we're not getting mixed up so that we cause any mismatches or bad situations. We'll try to, stick to our defensive game plan. Offensively, we think we can run when we need to. We think we can play the half-court game when we need to, and really control the paint. And like I said, it's an opportunity now for some young guards to prove themselves that they can shoot the ball from the outside and also create for others. So I'm pretty excited about this matchup.
And speaking with the players here locally, are you stressing the fact that they need to take care of themselves, take care of their bodies, and kind of limit their social gatherings just to make sure that everybody's going to be able to make the trip safely?
Oh, absolutely. Every player that's been committed to make this competition and play for Guam has been trying the best they can to not only get their workouts, but do it in a safe way. And for the next couple of weeks, it's daily exercise of just getting hundreds of shots up. It's not really time to really get in shape or start training. By now, it's more of a rhythm activity. So everyone's just got to maintain that rhythm and stay healthy. And as all the details come in, we'll be ready to go and represent Guam again. It won't be as long a trip either. Definitely less than 2 weeks, maybe just a little over a week. And then, of course, we'll be coming into Guam protocol in terms of our return to Guam safely and quarantining before we can return home.
Well, crossing our fingers, when can we expect the team to leave Island? And when is the first game going to be against Hong Kong?
Yeah, the schedule was just released to us, and it may not have gone public yet, but we received a letter that we're going to be playing on February 19th in Bahrain, as long as everything goes smoothly with the teams arriving. So that being our first game, we're looking at getting out there by the 15th or 16th in order to give ourselves some time to acclimate and some court time together as we prepare for that game on the 19th.
With me, Ari Esaroma from Copper's Cove High School in Texas, where she's a powerlifter and Olympic lifter. When it comes to powerlifting, you're nationally ranked in the 148-pound weight class. Tell us how you got your start in the sport of powerlifting.
I wasn't really freshman year of high school. I didn't even know powerlifting was a thing. And then since my dad is a coach, my dad is my coach. I go to my dad's gym for Olympic weightlifting where I trained. And I saw him training other teenagers who went to my high school who was a grade above me. And then he was talking about how they wanted to become friends with me. And I was like kind of iffy about it at first, but then I became friends with them. They kind of like pushed me towards powerlifting. It's a strength sport like Olympic lifting. So I was like, I'm gonna try this out. I love lifting weights. So then I started my sophomore year of high school powerlifting. I kind of fell in love with it. So then I continued to do it.
And how is it training under your dad, having him push you and motivate you in the gym?
Honestly, good and hard. In the past, he's definitely pushed me to be where I am today. I feel like if I didn't have my dad, I wouldn't even be as strong as I am today because he's pushed me so much. There's times where I just really was not enjoying it, but in the end, it really paid off, and I'm very grateful for it.
You competed at the regional 6A championships. You're currently sitting in second place in the region. What are some of the events you competed in?
For last year, I made it to regionals. This year, I qualified for regionals. My last meet, my last regional powerlifting meet, like for my my region, I'm going to regionals because I already qualified for the total numbers. And then last year after high school season, I did a USAP at my first USAPL meet, like out of high school in Austin, Texas, and qualified for nationals
Worlds.
for USAPL.
And then COVID hit.
And I also qualified for USAW nationals for Olympic lifting, but I couldn't attend because COVID. So 2 of those events I wasn't able to actually go to.
Well, let's talk about your powerlifting numbers. When it comes to the bench, you're at 175 pounds. Your squat is 295 and your deadlift is 315. What are some of the target weights you're looking at for future competitions?
I want to break a state record for bench, which is 205. But my next meet, which is literally in 2 days, I want to squat at least 305, bench 180, and then deadlift 325.
And how often are you in the gym working out?
Every single day. Sometimes on a Sunday or a Saturday, like I might not be able to go because like family things or I just can't make it. But mostly every single day.
You've been powerlifting for your high school for 3 years now. Any records for school or awards that you've won for your high school?
I medaled every meet last powerlifting season, which is top 5 at least for every meet. And every meet's like a lot of schools. But this year, I feel like this season is completely different now because of COVID. So this year, like the competitiveness isn't really there because there's only 2 schools allowed at a meet versus last year, which would be like 8 to 12 schools at one meet. It's like really long. There's so many people. But this year, there's only 2 schools per meet. And like when we go, like it's only our school on one platform and then another school on one platform. So we can't like really be there and watch, like what numbers they're hitting. So I can like jump ahead of them, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of makes it harder because I feel like going against somebody in your weight class, like seeing their number there, like it just like makes you want to hit more than them, and it would be easier to like be like, okay, I'm gonna jump this much, but then you can't do that because you can't really watch them at the same time you're going.
And what are some of your goals that you've set for your senior year?
To make it to state this year and to break the bench record. It's really hard to make state. I was gonna talk about how my weight class, like my sophomore year, I was in the 123s, and then last year I was in the 132s, and then this year I'm in the 148s. And so like the weight, like the higher you weigh, the harder it is to get to state. And I feel like I'm so close to state, like my senior year weighing heavier rather than like before where I was like super light, and also I would like starve myself to just make weight. I don't have to worry about it this year because